Morning. It's me, Gabe Eltaeb, and this is Big Man Comics Live. And yes, it is morning here on the best coast, on the West Coast. Um, and we are having fun. We are working on the Unstoppable Tyrus Systems page, guys. Page 60 out of 120. So the book, as of this evening, will be halfway done. So I'm doing the ink finishes over these pencil layouts from the great Acheon, and just having a real blast working on this stuff. So it's such interesting times we live in, you know. It's hard to compare the epoch, the time that you live in, to any others because you don't live in the other time and you never will. So you can't really do that scientific analysis in your head of the control group versus the other group, and you don't know. Is it different? Does it feel different? You'll never know. There's no way to know. You'd have to live multiple lifetimes to really know. Um, is it more significant? Is it more is it more interesting? I mean, you can compare it with statistics and stuff you read historically, but that again, that's just epistemological knowledge, right? That's just knowing what we read and not knowing what we experience. And I will always advocate for the position that what you actually live and experience is much more informative and much more closer to the truth than just what you read, because what you read is biased and it's manipulated. I mean, what you experience is biased too. It goes through the prism in your own head of your own expectations and confirmation bias, right? But it's still the best learning does come from doing, like drawing here, right? I can read every drawing book in the world, but unless I actually sit down and draw, you don't learn, you don't get any better. So we have a mountain lion, a California desert lion kind of guy, trying to kill our boy Tyrus here, and it ain't great. It ain't great, but it's an awesome time. Hello, the time zone in San Diego is 5 minutes behind the rest of the U.S. Is that true? Hi, Gabe. What does the artist use for reference for Tyrus? Footage from TV appearances, or does he send pics? We just had a few pictures of Tyrus, and then we came up with our own cartoon version of him. I think if you're trying to nail a photorealistic likeness of someone, that's a very hard thing to do. And I'm not going to criticize my fellow comic book artists, but I will say one place where I see it the worst is like some of the Star Wars comics. The guys that illustrate them are clearly looking at photos from the movies and all that, and that's fine. Like, how else do I know what someone or anything looks like unless I see it, right? I have to see something to know what it looks like. So you look at pictures of Han Solo to draw him. The problem I see with a lot of that is they don't learn how to draw Han Solo. They learn how to draw that picture of him. And you'll see the same images referenced over and over and over again, which is fine. Again, you have to look at something to know how to draw it. But for Tyrus, we got a basic look for Tyrus that we liked and then ran with it. So does this look exactly like the Fox News personality, the pro wrestler, all that guy Tyrus? No, it doesn't, and that's intentional. It gave us something we could draw repeatedly over and over and have it look the same, and it suggests enough about Tyrus and his look that it gets the point across. But if we went with the photo reference for every drawing, like you see sometimes in licensed books or in books that are, doing work on real people, you do get a boring, stiff, repetitive look to it because you're just leaning on, again, copying that photo, which is legitimate. It's a legit thing to do. The whole argument about using models and 3D assets and all that is foolish. Everybody knows you can't draw something unless you see it or reference it. If you try and make up a motorcycle having never seen one, it's going to look like you made it up and it's going to look like crap. So yeah, you do reference things, but I think you get the essence of a Tyrus, and then make up a model that you can use. And I think we've done that effectively in this book. I think we've done a great job on that. We get the correct things. He has a whitish nose. The distance from the bottom of his nose to his mouth is a bit far, more than usual. He has a massive bottom jawbone. We give him heavy eyebrows. Different things like that, the real masculine features, because I don't think the real Tyrus has super heavy, like bushy eyebrows or anything, but we add that so it's like it's heavy, it's got that gravitas, that heaviness to it, because what we're trying to emphasize is power and masculinity and strength, making him a hulking, figure. So yeah. So that's how that works. Essence of Tyrus sounds like a cologne. Yeah, that'll be coming out. You'll be able to crowdfund that too. That'll be an add-on perk. Ode to Tyrus. But yeah, it's a collaborative thing, trying to figure it out. When we were, I'm the main character, like designer, because I'm the writer and the publisher and all that. So when I did some concept art and I sent it to Akeon, and then I let him do some concept art too. I paid him for it, obviously, but I gave him concepts of actresses and people I like for the different characters, and then he comes in with his own sensibility too. So it's a real collaborative effort. Akeon and I, artistically, we're in such sync. We're like we're really one of the great pairings, the two of us. We hit it off right away because our sensibilities about art are near identical. To me, it's about the excellence of how good can I make this art. That's what it's about. I don't do it for the audience. I don't do it for expectation or virtue signaling or anything like that. I do it for how good of a job can I do on this. That's what informs the way I do this. What is the way I can do this the best, and just for artistic principles, not the best for commercialism, not the best for sales, not the best for pleasing the customer or anything like that. To me, is what is the best art I can make. That's it. Everything else you want the sales, you want the acclaim, you want all the stuff. That all comes if you do the best job you can. I think focusing on getting the sales and focusing on all the other stuff, you're putting the cart before the horse. You're thinking about it backwards. Sorry. A little heartburn from breakfast. Had a very hearty breakfast. I ate one meal yesterday, so starving when I woke up. So I had 2 big cups of coffee with heavy cream, sausage and biscuits and gravy and all that. My wife is wonderful. She makes me breakfast every day. A little bit of I don't suffer from acid reflux or anything, but that was a heavy breakfast. So it made me cough, burning my throat just now. Do you work in 300 DPI or 600 DPI? Neither. I work in 450 DPI. For a cover, we'll do 600 DPI because you want covers to be able to be reproduced as big as possible, banners for conventions and posters and perhaps billboards. But 450 is more than enough. When you send the work over to the printer, like my printer, they don't want anything more than 300. For a comic book that's 6.25 by 10.7 or whatever the inches of a comic book are, an American comic book, you don't need anything more than 300. You should work in at least 450. When I scan it into the computer, I scan, if I'm drawing on paper with pen and ink and all that, like this is an unused Dean Cain Volume 2 cover. I'm not going to use it. I will scan it at 1200 DPI. Yeah. Scan it huge, clean it up, and then reduce it down. Reduce it down to 600 for a cover. But interior pages, we go 450. That was the standard at DC Comics. That was enough. That was pretty much industry standard everywhere. Everyone I worked for, Dark Horse, Robert Kirkman, Marvel. I just did trading cards for them. I never did books. They offered me a book, but they were so cheap I couldn't take it. They offered me Marvel Zombies Volume 2, and they were trying to get me $100 a page. Trying, probably not going to get me that much. So I had to say no. Sorry, Charlie. None the Miser, one of the great members of the channel. He's a mod. Do you ever listen to inspirational music while coloring, like Stan Bush or Frank Stallone? You know me, none the Miser. I don't like anything dirty. I wasn't allowed to listen to worldly things growing up or watch worldly movies or TV. So I like wholesome stuff. The secular music I listen to is very limited because I wasn't allowed to listen to dirty stuff. So my on rotation, what I've been just jamming out to for the last week is the Beach Boys, the best of the Beach Boys. I think they're just the best. I love the Beach Boys. And I love Huey Lewis and the News, Bryan Adams, and Phil Collins. To me, those are all clean enough to be acceptable. I don't like subversive, dirty things, so I don't listen to them. But yeah, I listen to music constantly while I work. Music, audiobooks, or sports radio. I'm a big NFL fan. I just love football. Love my Denver Broncos. And I just played football and coached for it. Football means a lot to me. So I do follow football. And I lived in Colorado for years when I was in college in the early 2000s. And there's a sports radio station out of Denver that I have listened to since 1999. And I still listen to them to this day via like podcasts. You can listen to the radio programs. After they're off the air in Denver, they post them online to iTunes or whatever, or the Apple podcast stuff. So I listen to the Denver sports radio every day pretty much. I do that while I'm lifting weights after lunch. I lift weights after lunch typically. But I was jamming out to the Beach Boys for days, and I bought their Best Of album the other day, and I love it. The mob seat, $100 page. That's about what it costs to mow a lawn. Yeah, the mainstream comic book industry pays. I don't want to say poverty wages. That's sad for people who are actually poor. They pay horrible wages. The mainstream comic book industry, and they take advantage of this. Is a dream that a lot of people have since they were young, and they know they can kind of pay you what they want. Plus, they're not making any money. I don't have access to their books. I don't know that factually, but I know about the sales, and I don't see how they're making any money. And I'm sure the big companies that own them, I'm talking about Marvel and DC, like Warner Brothers and Disney, they're just writing it off as a loss, right? It's research and development, or however they can legally write that off and take a loss on this stuff. They're definitely not making any money. Not anything like they should be. I mean, I couldn't imagine owning Captain America and Spider-Man and not understanding how to make money. It's really it's a feat of magic to be that stupid to own these things. Like, I can't wait for this Snow White movie to come out with that America hating jerk, that Rachel Zegler. Get out of here, you jerk. You hate this country, freaking leave. They're just so unappreciative. These people, they want to take everything this country culture provides, and then they want to shit all over it constantly and say it sucks, it's racist, misogynistic, it needs to be erased and eradicated and improved. Like, get the fuck out of here is what I think of people who talk like that. Get out of here. Just leave. Go to your socialist paradise, you jackass. Sorry to be so mean, but it's not right what people like her do. It's so wrong to be so blessed by this country and culture and then constantly just shit on it. It's infuriating. There's a lot of people that work hard and they're living, and they do a lot of the living and dying and working in this town, Mr. Potter. That's from It's a Wonderful Life, the greatest American movie of all time. The greatest movie of all time, It's a Wonderful Life, because it has the greatest message of all time. Be grateful to God for what you have. That is the message. And stop being a whining, sniveling sad sack, feeling sorry for yourself and entitled like a weird narcissist. That's the human struggle we all fight, is the being so upset and angry when we should be grateful people. And I can't wait for that thing to fail. It's going to be glorious. Glorious, glorious, glorious. It's going to be amazing. So, or make a Captain America movie without Captain America, the mob says. Yeah, when I was saying earlier, could you imagine owning Captain America and not figuring out how to make money? It's really astounding. None of the Miser says, wasn't that Snow White supposed to come out 2 years ago? Yeah, and then that jackass couldn't stop opening her mouth about men are creepy and this and that. And, the old Snow White is so stupid. It's like, bitch, you're standing on the shoulders of giants. You realize you wouldn't be working for the company Disney. You wouldn't be working on this movie if those old racist white men hadn't built it for you, you jerk. After we're done with the live stream here, go watch my recorded video that I put out. I put out recorded videos. They come out at 6 a.m. And because I don't want them to overlap with the time we're doing this. We're spending time together intimately here. But the video I did from last night is called Shoulders of Giants. I think I figured out what I want to do here on YouTube as far as recorded content. Because, you got to do like algorithm chasing, and it's unsatisfying because you end up talking about things you don't care about as much as what you really care about. And I've come to realization, I just have to be me. I have to be 100% authentic and honest. So I just do like video rants where I just talk about politics and culture because that's what I care about. Being a husband and father is the most important thing in the world to me, and getting it right. And I don't always get it right. See, that's the thing. When you're talking about what should and shouldn't be, people think you think you're perfect. I know damn well I'm not perfect. And I need God's grace every day and his forgiveness every day. Because I do bad stuff. Everyone does. And then you regret it. You feel bad. You try and get better. But the video I put out was Standing on the Shoulders of Giants. And I talk about my ethos as a human, as a citizen, as a human. What a weird thing to say. You knew I was human. I didn't need to say that. And but really, as a citizen, I should say, and as someone who lives in the greatest society in the history of the world, and yes, there are things that are tough, and eggs cost too much, and but it is still the best time to be alive in the history of the world. You still live in the best country in the history of the world. You do. And yes, there are horrible challenges. Yes, the baby boomers gave the rest of us a pretty bum deal compared to what they were given by the World War II generation. But we're going to be bitches and sit and cry about it, or we're going to get it done. We're going to put our heads down and get it done. I see only one way. Put your head down, get it done. I don't see the crying and the sad sack feeling sorry for myself. That ain't going to work for me. That's not how I operate. It's like, yeah, it's sad, it's messed up. Some things are very unjust, but I'm no victim, you know. So I'm not playing the victim game. Like, is it harder than the baby boomers had it? Yeah, it is, and they don't understand, nor do they care. So move on, or sit there in your dirty diaper, you're like crying and crying and throwing your tantrum. Or do we just change the diaper and move on, right? Or do we sit there and be, oh, baby boomers weren't fair and they ripped us off and did all this stuff, and like they did. They did. So now what? Now what? What do you want to do? You want to cry forever about it? Yeah, it's really wrong what they did. Move on. Moving on, man. That's all you can do. I don't like those shines I put on there. Is it good? I'll leave it for now. I'll take a look at it in like 5 minutes. Sometimes you need to look at things later and then you're like, oh, I do like that, you know. So yeah, I'm very much looking forward to Snow White being another embarrassment for Disney. I'm conflicted about DC Comics because they just continue to fumble over and over and over and embarrass themselves in public. And like, I was so proud to be there. It's such an achievement. It's so hard. It's so competitive. I did it, working at the highest levels, working on the best books. Books I'm working on are winning Eisner Awards. That's the equivalent of the Oscars in comics. I was very proud to have achieved that in my life because it's a goal I set out to do when I was very young, and I did it. And most people never, ever even sniff those high level goals they have. So I am proud of that. And then I look at what I look at what they become, and it's like, I want to tell people, yeah, I worked there. It's like, no, I worked there before they were like that. Like, no, I left because of how they turned. Like, yeah, I left because of that. And but I feel so conflicted because I see DC Comics as just like an embarrassment over and over and over again. The stuff they do is so cringy and unprofessional. And like the other day, their YouTube channel was just taken down, and I have no understanding why. I didn't look into it, but like that just figures with them. That's just the kind of thing that would happen to them, you know. And it seems like, and maybe because I worked there, I had rose-colored glasses on. But while I worked there, they didn't seem as embarrassing. But it seems like since I left in 2021, which that's hard to believe for me that I've been gone from there almost 4 years come this fall in a few months. It's just been an embarrassment after embarrassment for them. Just ridiculous, like stupid headlines, you know, one thing after the other, just messing up TV, messing up movies, horrible DEI, SJW, virtue signaling, identity politics in the comics that just flop repeatedly, a bunch of false starts. It just woof. And I'm like, was it like that when I was there? And I just couldn't see it because I was there. I don't know. Good morning, Gabe and chat. And Tony's is here. He's always here. The mob seat's always here. It's great to see you. Fable Fox, you saw you use Clayton Henry brushes. Do you use his template too? Do you draw on pre-template 11 by 17 with blue lines and use it instead? Are you asking this question of Fable Fox or me? Here's my layer setup here, right there. So I'll move it down to the first one that you can't see that's a bit off screen. Let me see if I can adjust that on here. Hold on. I have to drag this in OBS. It's just called layer 5, and I'm drawing the Lion Man on that layer alone, so I can erase any background without interfering with him if I need to erase some background. But then I have characters. I'll eventually merge them down to characters, and that's where I've drawn the background. Right? I drew the background, and then I have panels. So the panel boxes are on their own layer. That way, when I make mistakes and have to erase somebody's nose or whatever, I don't have to erase and redraw the panels over and over. I put this yellow layer on because it's better for your eyes. It's not good to stare at something bright white all day. So I put this yellow layer on, and plus so I can tell the difference between the pencils and inks pretty clearly. And then there's the pencils underneath. So that's my layer set up there. The only brush I use is the Clayton Henry ink bleed. My head's in front of it here. Let me move this a little. I'll duck out of the way. That right there is the Clayton Henry ink bleed. He sells that on Gumroad for $5. It mimics a regular ink pen. I don't use anything else except for this splatter brush here. I'll use for like splotches on a wall sometimes. And then there's another brush under my Clayton Henry brush right there for leaves on a tree. Otherwise, everything else is going to be hand drawn with the regular Clayton Henry brush. I don't want to lean on the capabilities of this thing for all kinds of cross hatching and textures, because there are brushes that do that stuff. Like, look at this, like this stuff. I hate the way this shit looks because you see it in comics everywhere. I'm not trying to be a hater. That looks so digital. That looks so fake. When I need to do this stuff, I do it like this. I get the regular brush and I'm sitting here going, and then just coming in at another. I do it by hand, and I think that's how it should be done. I think doing it with those things looks like shit. I think this stuff, I think this looks terrible. And once you see it, you can't unsee it, and it's everywhere in comics now. And I think that's because there's a younger generation and they're learning to draw digitally. They're not learning to draw analog with real pencil and paper. You should learn the digital tools because they are part of the reality now, but you must learn the real stuff. I grew up with paint, pastels, oil, acrylic, pen, ink, pencil, crayons, colored pencils. I grew up with all of that, and I prefer using it. The only reason I'm doing the Tyrus thing digitally, the only reason, because I could just take these pencils, print them out blue, and then ink them by hand. The only reason I'm doing it is for speed. It is faster to draw digitally because there are some corners you can cut. You could just do faster editing on corrections and stuff like that. But that's the only reason I'm doing it this way. As I grow my company, I will go back to just using paper. When I do covers, I'm going to do them by hand, though. Like, I got to do my own cover for Empyrean. Look here. Here's a layout I'm doing. I'm doing this layout digitally for Empyrean because I'm going to do a cover. And I'm going to print this out in blue and then ink it myself. But here's a layout. The main villain, the two heroes, the sidekick, the robot, the evil assassin guy. It's awesome. It's my sci-fi book. It's almost done. But that I want a real printed out, real piece of paper like this, a real cover right here like this. I don't want it to be digital, at least the covers. I don't want any of these books to be digital, but it's just a reality of what I'm doing right now for the schedule. Because I want to have Tyrus done before Comic-Con in July. And we might be able to do it, we might not, but I'm shooting for that. So, we'll see. I do think the technique I use to ink digitally does look great, though. I do think it looks like real inks. I don't think it looks like digital stuff. So that makes me happy because I don't want it to look digital. I want this to look like real ink. Just because, that's what I grew up on, right? I grew up on real inks and all that. And I don't think that digital art is illegitimate. I think it's like anything else. It's a medium. It's a tool. The only thing that makes me sad about digital art is a personal thing is there's no artifact. There's no piece of paper I can hand anyone to say, hey, here's my original art for page 35. It's like, let's turn on my computer and we can look at page 35 together in Photoshop or Procreate. I don't like that aspect of digital art, but that's the only part of it I don't like. But I understand for the modern world, this is where we are. This is like the horse and buggy versus the first automobiles, right? Like, no, this is how it is now, so get used to it. Every DC news story, hero, insert name here is now gay. Yeah, DC Comics, they do seem to be a one-trick pony. Mob Seat, Antonius is agreeing with him and saying, as Oprah, you're gay, and now you're gay, and he's gay. And yeah, that's so, and the South Park, put a chick in it, make her lame and gay. See, that's the thing that just proves that it's pandering, and the gay people should be insulted, that it's just such pat on the head condescension. Because you take a popular hero that has a decades-old fan following, and then you slap gay on him to push an agenda. Like, they're not pushing it. Yes, they are. If they weren't pushing an agenda, they'd create a wholly new character that happened to be gay, if that's what was important to them. Because what they're proving when they do it to Superman or Batman or anyone is that they're relying on his prestige, on his fame, on his built-in popularity, and then they glom on their identity politics onto it. This is a technique I love, this little thin line zigzag. Oh my gosh, that's so satisfying to do. Look at how great that looks, by the way. So that's what I add to Akion's layouts. I add things like that. Like, he didn't draw it that way, but I'll add a texture like that, and it just adds such a slick look of speed. I like to mix that in with just regular feathered cross-hatching and build this stuff into real thick stuff. But to learn how to do it in a stroke, okay, so that was something I learned from Scott Williams. Scott Williams is Jim Lee's like personal inker, his right hand, literally, his right-hand man. And it was in 2009. I worked in the studio here in San Diego at Wildstorm, and I was coloring comic books in the studio by day, and I was inking a Superman story by night for the holiday special. And since I was around such veteran genius artists, I would always go to them for help and critique. And critique is the most important thing. I would tell Scott, listen, don't tell me what's good here. I want to know everything I screwed up, everything that looks like shit, everything that needs to be fixed. And this is how good of an artist Scott Williams was. This is 2009. So he'd already been in comics for 20 years at this point or longer. I hand him the Superman page and he looks at it. He's like, oh man, this is great. This is great. And then he says, and I quote, What's this here? Oh, let me back up. Before that happened, I was coloring comics during the day. You're going to see why I backed up. I was coloring comics during the day, coaching Pop Warner football until 6:30 or 7, then inking Superman pages at night. I was getting no sleep. But thank God I was only 31 years old. This was 15 years ago. And I bloop it on this leg. I screw it up. I do a bad job inking this leg. I'm using paintbrushes, and I screw it up, but it's like a centimeter long. And I'm going to try and find this. And I say to myself, it's okay. No one's going to see this. It's a centimeter. It's a little bloop of a line. I take the page into it's the DC holiday special. So I'm going to look at my hard drive. I take the page into Scott Williams. And I have him critique me like he's been doing every day. And he's like, this is great. This is great. This is great. And then he says to me, what the hell is this? It looks like you don't even know how to use the tools. And what he was pointing at was the little bloop on the leg, the little fucked up line of ink. He saw it. And I was so happy. That was like a moment where I just knew I was in the right place, because when you're with people that excellent, okay, I've found the stuff here. Hold on. When you're with people that excellent, you can't, they know what they're doing. They know what they're talking about. And you can feel good that they're going to be able to just help you so much. Let me open a few of these pages and see which one it is. Okay, so here, I'll show you these inks I was doing. Hold on, let me open it real big, and we're going to go through this together. Okay, these are hand ink. These are brush and all that. So let me drag this over here. Sorry, I'm setting up my thing. Wrong one. You get out of the way. You get out. Oh, these are Imperium pages. Dang it. Okay, hold on. Open with, here we go. I got to open these with Photoshop. So I got to open Photoshop to open these pages to show them to you. Okay, calm the F down. Okay, so here's the, look at this. It's Superman at Christmas fighting a golem. A golem is that Jewish like folklore of creating a remote control creature out of clay. Or in this instance, happened to be snow. But my friend Nick Runge penciled this, and I inked it with brush. So see, I've been a great inker forever. And this is, again, by hand inking. So this must not be the right page. Where is it? It was a thigh of Superman as he fought. Hold on. I'm going to drag it over to this screen and look for it, because I'll show it to you. And it's so minor. It's so small. I can't believe he saw it and had a comment on it. Okay, it's right. Okay, here it is. Yeah. Okay, right here. Okay, we're going to zoom in. I'll show it to you. Because the page looks great. The texture I got on the snow looks nice and fat and fluffy. Like, I did a great job on this. You know, I love some of these double lines that I do here. Like this stuff here, you have a double line right there. That's a favorite technique of mine, is the double line. Again, here's the double line right here. And that's a Scott Williams, man. That's this double line thing. But I fucked up right here. Look at this. That right there in the center of the page. See that? How it's splotchy and hairy, and right? And look how small that is on the page. So he's critiquing this page, and he's like, this is great, this is great. And then he points at that back of that thigh of Superman's right leg and goes, what the hell is this? It looks like you don't even know how to use the tools. And it's such a great moment, because, like, I'm in the right place. These guys know everything. They know what's going on here. I was so happy. So let's see. It was awesome. Fable Fox, for color, do you work in RGB and convert to CMYK later, or work directly in CMYK? If you're using Adobe Photoshop, work in RGB, because all of the effects and the full spectrum of colors and everything is available. You must convert to CMYK, 20% UCR coded swap. There's a whole thing about color. You need to investigate this. Thankfully, with Grok, the AI on Twitter and YouTube, you can learn everything you need to know about printing and ink limits and all that. And it is of the utmost importance that you get your colors correct for CMYK. If you do this as long as I've been doing it, you can see quote unquote illegal colors. Illegal colors are colors that are out of the gamut. That's the range of what is actually physically printable in CMYK. There are colors that just don't exist on paper because a computer screen can glow and create millions of colors, and paper does not glow. So we can't get some of those lasers and all that. But you pull tricks by using white and things like that. One where you'll always see it is magenta and pinks, the really hot glowing ones, the really bright cyans. Those turn gray when you print them. And it's the mark of an amateur to me when you see that stuff. Never happens in my work. My work's always clean and bright. I've been doing this for a quarter century. So you can push Command, the Apple button, Command Y in Photoshop, and it'll change the image to look like CMYK while you're working in RGB. It's a CMYK preview. You can press Shift Command Y, and it'll show you where all the illegal colors are on your image that you need to tone or push or whatever. So yes, work in RGB, but you have to convert your profile to CMYK. You also have to do trapping. If you don't know what trapping is, I'll draw an example of it on here. Here's what trapping is, okay? It's a little bit, I'll have to take everything off the board here. Okay, trapping is this. So we have a, we have this guy, right? We have smiley face man, okay? We'll just go like this. We got smiley face man, and then we'll make him yellow on another layer, right? So I'll go under here and make it, I'll do a selection. Sorry. It has to be clean. I'm fucking all this up. Sorry, guys. You'll see where I'm going with this. I want to show you about what trapping is. So I do that, do that, right? Do that. Okay, so then we're going to make a selection inside of here. Okay. We make a selection, then we drop some color. Okay, so now it looks like the yellow goes up to the edge of the black. Well, when a printer prints the C, M, Y, K, the cyan, magenta, blue, yellow, or the cyan, magenta, black, yellow, when it prints those, it can miss. So it can print like that, you see? And you're going to get those white. You've seen that on something, right? What the trapping does is, let's say there was something next to this. Okay, there's just another shape. We'll just say there was another shape. It doesn't matter what it is. It could be a building or a car or whatever. It doesn't matter what it is. Just keep that in mind. Okay, and then we'll do a selection here. Okay, we'll fill this with a different color. Okay, so these are two objects. When you move the black plate, do you see that white in between them? What the trapping is going to do is it's going to fill in this area with like a 50% like gray that's slightly purple. And I'll show you why. I'll just make up that color. It's about like this. It's about like that. It'll fill that area with that. Okay. And the reason it'll fill it like that is so if this black thing moves, hold on, I moved the color. If the black plate moves when the printer is printing, look at the white next to his mouth and look at the gray next to his cheek. You can't see the gray as much. This is what trapping is for. It's a complex process. Again, YouTube videos, Grok, you'll figure out how to do this. You need to make sure your stuff is trapped for printing too. So you have to convert to CMYK, but you also have trapping done correctly too. If you don't have trapping, you will end up with white halos like that. Sometimes it looks like fried dog shit. So make sure that does not happen. But yeah, it'll fill in gaps with this color on some of the color plates. Because again, if it's a 4-color process, it's going to print on the paper the yellow. Then it prints the cyan, which is the blue. Then it prints the magenta, which is the red. Then it prints the black. And if any of them miss, when they can miss severely, then they got to reprint it. But sometimes they can miss by a millimeter, and it'll show that. See around the mouth, that white. But look at again by his cheek. You can't see it as much because it's this gray thing. And when things are small, you really can't see it. So that's what trapping is. And these are very important things. Now I have an advantage. For 25 years, I've been doing this, so I know what I'm doing. I know what I'm talking about. But I worked at 2 newspapers, and I learned right away about color, spaces, and ink limits, and all the stuff that matters when you're printing. So, did you fix the thigh inking for the final product? No, I didn't. No, it was fine. it's a bloop, dude. It printed this big. I don't even know if it printed a centimeter big. We don't let perfect be the enemy of good. You know what I mean? And how major of a mistake is that on the thigh? It isn't really much of one, right? It's what I'm pointing out there is not that it was a major mistake. That's the excellence of the people I was working with. They could pick up something that small. And that's so helpful because when they're telling you do this, do more of that, they know what they're talking about. Always look at the results people have because there's a lot of snake oil salesmen. They can sell you a song. They can sell you a dream. They could sell you a monorail. Look at the results they have in life before you listen to anyone. If someone does not have good results with what they claim, if you went to a bodybuilder, buy my new exercise and diet book, and the guy looked like Jabba the Hutt, you'd be a fool to buy his book. He doesn't know what he's talking about. He doesn't care about what he's talking about. He's there to make money. I always laugh when buy my real estate, something system, make millions. And it's like, if I was flipping houses or doing whatever those guys do and making all this money, I wouldn't sell a book. I'd just sell more houses. I don't know. Could be wrong about that, but that always seemed like a scam to me. Like, why would this guy making millions on a yacht with bikini babes selling houses care to teach me how to do this? Like, why would this be important to him? That's ugly. Hail chat, the woke breaker. So yeah, always investigate like who it is you're going to listen to, because there are a lot of people out there that have their mastermind system and blah blah blah, and they're going to teach you to do this, and you join their club and go to their seminar. And it's like, if they know how to make money selling houses, then why don't they just sell houses and shut up about the mastermind seminar? I don't know. That always was weird to me. I don't know if you were a kid in the 80s and 90s, there were these two midget brothers that were like millionaire real estate moguls, allegedly, and they're partying on yachts with babes and telling you how to get rich. And I don't know, it just always felt like a scam to me since I was young. So could be wrong. Maybe those little midgets really did have good intentions for all of us. Maybe it was their way of giving back. But yeah, it's I talked about this yesterday, mentorship and all that. And you have to understand what was done for you. When I worked at Wildstorm, there was a weird arrangement with the San Diego Comic-Con. So Wildstorm is in San Diego, right? And we're professional artists for DC Comics at the time, but we're on staff. So we're Warner Brothers employees. We go Monday through Friday to the studio. We color comics for DC, but it's not like freelancing, because you don't look for work or email editors asking what they got for you. They assign you things at the company. And it was a lot of Wildstorm books, but it was some DC books too. We did Green Lantern and Green Lantern Corps. We did a lot of the Lantern books for whatever reason. And what was I going to say? But when Comic-Con came to town, we were like booth help. It was weird. Like, here I am, a professional artist for you guys, and I'm handing out posters and buttons for fans at Comic-Con, working the booth for a few hours. I thought it was very strange. I didn't think I was too good for it. It just seemed incongruous to me. Like, don't you have convention employees? And they did. Regardless, I'm a very big guy, as you know. I'm 6'4", big guy, muscle guy, strong guy. And so they would have me do big, strong guy things. I would work a little bit of security when, like, actors, when the Watchmen crew came to the booth to sign autographs, I'm, doing crowd control. When other famous people came to the booth, I'm doing that. Jerry Robinson, one of the co-creators of, I believe, Robin and the Joker and all that, very old, in his 80s. This is like 2009 or 10 or something like that. He was honored at Comic-Con, a guest. Warner Brothers brought him in. He was at our booth. I think he signed autographs and meet and greet and this and that. And he was in a wheelchair. And since I'm a big guy, they had me, help him and stuff. And they had me push his wheelchair to take him somewhere. And I was going to take him across the Comic-Con floor. And if you've ever been to the San Diego Comic-Con, it's the biggest Comic-Con in the world. It's like 400,000 square feet, I think, the area that it's in. That's like 4 Home Depots, just so you know. And I started pushing him to go to Artist Alley. I think he wanted to go meet someone or say hi to someone that he knew or something. And as we're going through all the crowds and walking and all this, I stop and get like in front of the wheelchair, and I bend all the way down. I'm tall and he's in a wheelchair. And I just tell him, thank you. I said, thank you. And, all the people you worked with all those years ago that you created this industry for me. So I could just walk in here and have a job. Like, I didn't have to create Batman or a Joker or DC Comics or anything, or struggle or make sure we had enough money to keep the lights on at the company and all. And like, you guys, the first big superhero generation, you made an industry, you made a business for me. Now, did you know me when you made it? Like, you made it for me, like you mentioned me, but you get what I'm saying. So that's always been my ethos of, like, you have an obligation to not be selfish when you work on this stuff, because it isn't yours. Does that make sense? Like, it was done for you. It was made for you. You were born and it already existed and it was already functioning and making money. And it was an opportunity that someone else gave you. And if you can't appreciate that, you're a real asshole. I'm sorry. And again, to go all the way back to what I was talking about earlier, that's why I want this Rachel Zegler Snow White to fail. I want it to be a humiliation, because that's what you deserve when you act like that. You really deserve to fail, and you deserve to be drummed out of this business until you change your effing attitude. That's like, no, you don't get to come in here and take, and give the middle finger to everyone as you take from them. That's not how life works. You don't show maximum disrespect and then reaping all the benefits of everything that's what drives me crazy about the leftists and their bigotry against men. You reap all the benefits of masculinity and patriarchy, and then just shit talk it constantly and try to subvert it. And it's like, it's the only reason you have anything. And it's so clear to me what was done for me by my grandfather and by men like Jerry Robinson and all the people that founded, DC Comics and all this whole industry. It's so crystal clear to me what was done for me. Them dying in countless wars and traveling across the sea to found a new nation and all that. It's like what was done for all of us. And people can't be bothered to like appreciate it. They're just like, yeah, what else you got? It's the height of disrespect. And so that's why I always set out to do the best job I can and to just get better and better and better. And I don't really care what it takes. It's like, that's fine. I got one life. I'm willing to spend it to be the man I think that I'm supposed to be. I don't think I get everything right, but it doesn't matter because I'm trying to get it right. So I think if you just keep heading in a direction, you'll mostly get things right. Let's see. Carlton Sheets sold the real estate tapes on late night TV. Oh, who's Carlton Sheets? I recognize that name from the late night grifter stuff. The Wokebreaker says he used to like Grifter. Grifter's got a great design. I don't know much about the character. I never, I would see him in Wildcats, but one of the great designs. That's an outstanding character with that red bandana with the cool looking eyes. That's really an awesome design. And then Grifter himself, he's like the handsome guy with the crazy the bushy blonde hair, dude, like the Beach Boys say. He's got that look for him too. Look going for him too. Yeah, Grifter's got an amazing look. Is he a cool character? I don't know enough about him. So but yeah, I think the way you live your life, you got to be a thoughtful person. You don't want to overthink life and have, paralysis through analysis. But if you walk through life in zombie mode and NPC mode, you're going to do a lot of stupid things, and I do think that, what is a life unexamined worth living, right? So I don't know. I just, I don't know why it's important to me. I just know it's one of the most important things in the world to me is honoring those that came before me and gave me everything I have. I just know that matters so much to me. I think it has a lot to do with my grandfather, the World War II veteran and just the best person I ever knew, and really looked out for me and did everything he could for me. And I don't know, want to honor him with what I do. If he can see me, which I don't believe. I believe in God, Jesus, heaven. I don't think the dead see us and see what we're doing here. I could be wrong about that, but I don't think that at all. I think there's a clear separation, and when they're there, wherever they are in heaven or whatever, they're there. And there isn't like some window to look at us. I don't think stuff like that. But what do I know? That's based on nothing. That's just what I think. It's not based on any knowledge of anything. That's just how I look at it. So, but who knows? I could be completely wrong about that. Okay, well, that was good. Let's see. I think the greatest generation injected real life values into comics, and the current generation just cosplaying off their memories. Yeah, I mean, what you see at comic books is just a larger representation of what you see culturally. So you see the younger generation with zero respect and zero understanding of why they have such a great industry they get to work in, so they don't honor it and they disrespect it and they slowly destroy it. Well, look at the rest of society, right? I mean, look at even something. I know this sounds funny, but look at like something like infrastructure. Look at the roads and the bridges and all that where you live. They were built, in that greatest generation post World War II thing, and they haven't been maintained or upkept in years, and now they're like falling apart. I think the greatest generation, the World War II people really screwed up, and it was completely unintentional, and it was done from a good place. But as they say, the road to hell is paved with good intentions. They were so traumatized. This is my theory. Again, I haven't done the scientific research, but I feel like I've observed this. The World War II generation was so traumatized from the Great Depression, World War II, all the instability, all the poverty, and the heartbreak that so many people had, that after they hit it big and quote unquote saved the world after World War II, they had all this trauma and they overcompensated to their own children, the baby boomers, and made the most entitled, greedy people ever. And I'm not saying that to be an asshole to boomers or whatever, but the boomers have definitely not paid it forward. They got it all. They were given everything. And then they told their kids, Generation X, and some of their kids are millennials, life's tough, get another job. Even though they walked out of high school right into a union factory job and were able to afford a home, 2 cars, send their kids to college, go on vacation, have everything they needed with no higher education or anything. And not that you have to go to college, but they didn't have to like achieve anything. And then they create a world where the millennials and the Gen X kids of theirs have to go to college, get in 6-figure student loan debt. It's preposterous. Meanwhile, your boomer parents, they paid for college by delivering pizzas for a few weeks in the summer and then didn't work during the school year, right? They paid their $78 tuition at a university or whatever. It's ridiculous. And then instead of saying what I say, hey, this was done for me, I will do it for the future generations. They said, I got everything I want from my World War II father. Now I'm going to take everything I want from my Gen X son. And it's disgusting. And everyone knows it's gone on. And that's what has gone on for the last 40, 50 years with the boomers. And, don't be like that. And maybe that's a big part of why I am the way I am about paying it forward. It's like, I don't think I should be like the boomers and just take. What kind of disgusting shit would it be if I was like, oh, I got things done for me, and now it's my turn for my son to do things for me? Like, at what point do I pay it back? And you don't pay it back to your grandfather. You pay it back to your children and your grandchildren. That's how you pay it back. You pay it forward. So again, yeah, the boomers in general really disgust me because they'll talk and talk and talk till they're blue in the face about society's falling apart, there's degeneracy and blah, 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 and nothing can be done about it. And then supporting tons of the policy that leads to the breakdown of the family and the economy and the culture and everything, just supporting it too with their just indulgent ways. I don't know, some of you are younger, you're like millennials and Zoomers. The boomers, my parents' generation, were referred to as the me generation in the 80s. When they hit like 30, their 30s were in the 80s, they were the me generation. And it meant selfishness. That's what it meant, me. It wasn't warming up for the opera with me, 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 me. No, it was who am I? What do I want? And when do I want it? That's what the me generation was. And fuck them kids is how it was. And you see, like, who was the generation to embrace divorce, right? That was your boomers, Like, oh, screw the kids. Don't want to be married to mom anymore. So I'm going to do what I want and screw the kids' well-being, right? It doesn't matter, their mental health or whatever. To be fair, I should amend that to don't want to be married to dad anymore because it is women that file for like 70, 80% of divorces. Let's call a spade a spade. So, Gabe, you and I have opposite opinions on God, for it's not that I don't believe in God, just that I've turned away from religion because of the stuff that came out of the Catholic Church and like, I'm not some big organized religion guy at all. I believe in God. I don't believe in the church. I don't believe some man knows God and I don't. I never will go for things like that. I'm definitely not Catholic. I'm not against people because they're Catholic, whatever, but I don't believe in the Catholic Church. No, I don't believe in institutions. I believe in God. And I think institutions are run by men and therefore they are corrupt. But if you want to vilify a religion because of the people, I would say, in my humble opinion, you're looking at it wrong because the religion isn't the people. The religion is God. It's just about a personal relationship with God. People are always going to disappoint you, dude. If you knew me long enough, I'd disappoint you. You'd disappoint me. Human beings are flawed. That's just how it is. So don't be like, oh, there was someone corrupt in the church, so I don't believe in God. Don't do that. Rethink it. Yes, there are going to be corrupt people in the church forever, and there always have been, and there always will be. Snakes are attracted to power. Awful people love politics. They love to lead churches. They love to lead business. Normal people don't want to like boss people around. They want to live and let live. And unfortunately, the best people to be leaders are the people that often don't want to be. They're like, no, I just want to live my life, man. I don't want to be bossing people around, telling them what to do. And awful people are like, I need to be the boss because they want to take advantage of the power. So don't get down on your relationship with God or anything because of the church. But I'm right there with you about, yeah, churches can be corrupt. Every organization has corrupt people in it, though. So don't tell yourself this is unique to the church, that there's something wrong with faith or something or God. There's nothing wrong with God. There's something wrong with the people that claim to love him and serve him. Remember, though, in the book of Matthew, Christ himself says that at the end, there will be people that come to him and say, We loved you. We served you. We cast out demons in your name. And he says he will turn to them and say, I never knew you. Get away from me, and send them to hell. There are so many. My grandpa used to tell me there are so many people going to church that are going right to hell. And that's sad. I don't say that to be funny, but I don't disagree. I think a lot of people use it as a shield. A lot of people like to use whatever, their faith as a shield, and it's a buffet. I believe this, but I don't believe that. But yeah, don't lose faith in God because men let you down. Don't do that. Did the men let you down? For sure. Was it scummy and awful? For sure. Yeah, that's all true. There's no denying that. That is zero reflection on who God is, though. None. Like I told you, if you know me long enough, I'll let you down. You'll let me down. We're humans, dude. We're going to screw it up. That's why we need God's grace. But yeah, don't get caught up in the problem I have with the majorly over-organized religion is because it's all earthbound. It's all me, me, me. What did I say? I'm the big pope. I'm the big priest. I'm the big cool. I'm the cool Christian. I know God. I have his phone number. You don't know him. You're the little people. That's not how it works, dude. Not to me. I don't respect that. There's a verse in the Bible too where God says, I am not a respecter of men. Do you know what that means? What that means is all of our honorifics, all of our positions, all of our little ranks and medals, and I'm the boss and I'm this guy and I'm the big chief, means nothing to God. Like he's God, we're just people. So I don't believe there are people that I don't believe in the Catholic concept of, oh, well, the Pope says so. Like the Pope knows God better than me. I don't think so. I reject that flatly. I reject that, and I see that for what it is. That's control. That's to control people. I don't believe that at all. I believe the Pope and the priests and all people, they're no better and no worse than me. We're all just humans. We're all humans. And I believe we're all equal to God in that sense. There is no more higher ranking Christian than me, nor am I higher ranking than anyone else. I don't think that makes zero sense to me. I wasn't raised that way. I don't say that to offend Catholics or anything, but I'm not going to be dishonest about what I believe, especially when it comes to God and faith. That's what I believe. And I believe that's biblical. I believe that's backed up by scripture, that no, you're not a better Christian than me. And I'm not a better one than you. That's not what I'm saying. So religion and being a Christian follower of Christ are two different things. Humans are humans. Yeah, see, that's what I agree with. I think any institution, all of them, a Burger King can be corrupt and have a corrupt manager that's stealing food and taking it home, or sleeping with the drive-through window girl or whatever. It's like you get anyone some power, then they have an opportunity to be corrupt, and you're going to see it all the time. So don't get disillusioned with God. I liked your last video about paying it forward. Thank you. I liked you watching it. Make sure you're subscribed and hit the like and all that. And I'll be here as long as you guys are here. I'll be here to hang out. I want to know more about you. I want you to tell me about yourselves, what you love about art, what you think about the things I talk about. I talk about, life and politics and all that a lot. And I want to share my unvarnished opinion with you. One thing I never want to be is phony and tell you what you want to hear. I'll say things you don't like, but I'm doing it in good faith. I'm saying it because I believe it. Does it mean I'm right? Absolutely not. There's a lot of things I believe fervently that I found out that I was wrong about later in life. And you just have to swallow your pride and go, okay, I was wrong. Moving on. Sorry, everyone. I was wrong about that. And moving forward, So I want to know that from you. What do you guys believe? What do you think? Again, the Bible says iron sharpens iron. So we should be like iron to each other, clanging back and forth, and make each other better, make each other think deeper, be more thoughtful, better men. But that would be my message to you. Antonius talking about like the church disappointing you. I'm right there with you, dude. The church is made of men, and men are sinners, me and you included. It's okay to be upset with people who screwed you, who lied to you, all that stuff. It's okay to be upset about that. But whenever we have feelings, we don't do what the feelings tell us. We think. The feeling is just a prompt to say, hey, pay attention to this for a minute and think about what you're going to do about it. Because if you just have a feeling and you do the bad thing the feeling tells you to do, then you failed the test. So if you went to a church and the pastor was sleeping with the secretary and it was all scandal, you're like, oh, you're done with religion because you saw such horrible things from church people. You're going to see horrible things from people everywhere, dude. People are sinners. It's human nature. So don't think there's anything wrong with God or faith because you saw some sinners in the church. So we're all that way. It's not an excuse. I'm not saying it's okay. I'm saying it's real. And we deal with reality on reality's terms, right? So, yeah. Almost got this mountain lion complete during the show. Legit question. I'm your age and I want to write a graphic novel. Any advice? Yes. My advice to you would be mindset. is everything to accomplish anything in life. And you have to believe that you're good enough for this. You have to believe you can do it. And then you have to approach the work 1 millimeter at a time, 1 inch at a time. If I said you have to eat an entire horse, you'd say, well, you can't. It's too much food. I say, but if you ate a little bit of the horse every day, you could eat a whole horse in a few months, right? You could. And that's a book. That's a drawing. That's a law degree. That's losing 100 pounds. That's saving $1 million. It's just consistency over time. And here's the secret. You don't have to choose to be consistent over time. There is no other way to live. You are, all of you, myself, we're being consistent over time. The thing is, are you being shitty consistent over time? Or are you being productive, good, consistent over time? But you are consistent over time. So just know that. It's not something you have to do. You're already doing it. Just change. If it's, I want to be good, consistent over time. So about writing, learn as much as you can about writing. Read really good writing to get inspired. Then get books. William Bernhardt's Red Sneaker Writers. It's a series about 8 books. I swear by them. They're like the best books. I get the audiobooks. I've listened to them over and over and over. Joseph Campbell's Hero with 1,000 Faces, The Hero's Journey. And Blake Snyder's Save the Cat will give you the perfect formula for the Hollywood 3-act structure. Once you read Save the Cat, and then you go watch Indiana Jones and Star Wars and Harry Potter, and like, oh, this is the same story over and over and over. And humans have been doing this for all of recorded history. If you go back to the Epic of Gilgamesh from Mesopotamia, like 15,000 years ago, whenever that was written, it's the hero's journey. It's the same story over and over and over. So my advice was do a little bit every day of what you can do to achieve your goal. And then after a while, you will just have achieved it. You just have to stick to it. That's why people don't achieve anything, because they don't stick to it. They do a little bit, exercise. They don't lose any weight because it's been a week. It's like, well, give it a month. Give it a year. You know, it took you 20 years to get fat. Maybe it'll take a year to lose the weight. But you are being consistent over time. You are, but you might be being crappy consistent. Be good consistent over time. Get around experts that are great writers. Show them your work if they're willing to read it. William Bernhardt, Red Sneaker Writers, is the best instructor for writing I've ever seen. He will answer your personal emails. He's answered some of mine. He loves some of my concepts and scripts that I sent him. And his books about writing plot, character, dialogue. He has like 8 or 9 of them. They're outstanding books. Let me see if I have that. Hold on. Where's my audio books? I'm gonna throw it up on the screen real quick. Thank you guys for joining me today. Go to bigmancomics.com. Get the first printing of Dean Cain, All-American Lawman. Get that right now. Hold on. Let's see. William Bernhardt. Well, I'm typing this into my audiobooks. Okay, here it is. In your library, right here. Okay, yeah. Okay, here it is. I want to make sure there's nothing doxy on here. Hold on. Let me look at this whole thing. There's nothing that doxes me. No account numbers. No home addresses. Nothing. Okay, here it is. These books right here, they're not much on like Audible or anything like that. Hold on. I'll throw it up on the screen so you can see it. William Bernhardt's Red Sneaker Writers book. They're insanely good books. Hold on. I'll throw it up on the screen. There it is. There. So he has creating character, bringing your story to life, dynamic dialogue, excellent editing. Hate Crime is actually a book that he wrote that I bought. Perfecting plot, powerful premise, sizzling style, story structure. The Rise and Fall of the Third Reich, that's a different book. And Thinking Theme. So and there's a few more I think he's written, and they're outstanding. Blake Snyder's Save the Cat is the Hollywood 3-act hero's journey adventure. It's Spielberg, it's Lucas, it's the Terminator, it's every great action adventure you could think of. Back to the Future, they all follow this model. Human beings always do this. This is the story that human beings have always written. So, Stephen King's on writing. Is it any good? Stephen King seems like a horrible person and Trump derangement, but he's a heck of a writer. He writes a lot of disgusting things that I'm not okay with, like religiously, spiritually, but there's no doubt that he's talented. Is his book on writing worth it? I've heard it's good. I've never read it. So if I plan to draw a slice of life and not superhero comics, will it have enough market to work? Found it interesting that manga could cover a story about football or crew. Yes. Storytelling is about execution. Everyone has good ideas. There's no talent for that. Good ideas are ubiquitous to human beings because we can find anything interesting. It's being able to write about the good idea and being able to execute it in a satisfying way. And if you're going to make it a graphic novel, being able to make the drawings, you can make beautiful drawings of anything. You can make beautiful writing of anything, and you will find the audience. but you got to execute it at a high level. The action and adventure stuff is easier because the barrier to entry to get people's interest is lower because the conflict is immediate. They can see it. But if it's an emotional book and this and that, and there's no flying and punching and lasers and explosions, the dialogue's going to have to be great. The framing of the photos and the pacing's going to have to be so good because you can't rely on a big, outrageous Jack Kirby splash page because you're having people, talk about their romantic entanglement, which is fascinating to people. But yeah, everything is about execution. You could write a great graphic novel about kids running a lemonade stand, and it could be one of the greatest things ever written. You could write about people working at a tire shop, rotating tires, and it would be fascinating if you executed. There are no bad ideas. There's just bad execution. Anything you love, anything you dig that turns you on, do it, attack it, but do your best job possible. Do it with full force, full execution, and you'll do a great job. That's the thing. You're a writer, not an artist. Well, you got to find an artist. And if you want a good artist, you need money. Sorry. You want to pay cheap for an artist, you're going to get cheap art that's not going to look good. So, let's see. And he says, I can respect the work, not the man. Yes, on writing. So, okay, I'm going to check out On Writing because I'm always trying to devour books about writing because I just want to get better. I love writing. I think I'm very good at it, but I always think everyone can get better at everything. Guys, go to Big Man Comics, get Dean Cain, All-American Lawman. Follow me on X on Big Man Comics. Follow me on Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube, and all that. I'm Gabe Eltaeb there, and I will talk to you guys later. Bye-bye. Have a great day. We'll see you tomorrow night, 7 p.m. The Princess Bride, 7 p.m. Pacific on Double Impact with me and Jericho Green.